And if you're going to make a ring of honor for the United States men's national team, this guy's the first fucking name in there.
Goddamn right.
If I'm voting, okay? If I'm voting, first name on there. Oh, who you putting in there? Oh, it's an Italian man. Mm-hmm. Who is the Italian man? Well, he was a goalie who did backflips on the fucking field, led the MLS to basically kick off their entire league, was a stallion for the United States American team, and a guy whose name is synonymous with incredible soccer. The Soccer Lombardi's coming home, and I hope they give a ring to this guy. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Meola.
Hey. What's up, boys?
Paisan.
How you doing, fellas?
Paisan, thank you.
Are you guys as tired as I am, man? I've been up at 5 o'clock every goddamn morning, and now the games aren't at 5. I'm still getting up.
Well, I want to let you know, Tony, that's why we had you come on, because we have not been waking up that early. We've only been watching the highlights. We have not dove in completely. Let's go into this whole thing. Obviously, games at like 5 and 9 and 11 and 1 or at 2 o'clock all morning from Qatar. And we want to ask you about, Qatar being the host country and everything that's happened there. And then obviously the Sepp Blatter documentary that's on Netflix that all of us who grew up, dedicating our entire lives to soccer and everything like that, kind of tough to watch that take place, but you assume that type of shit's going to happen when you have that type of power. Let's just talk about the soccer specifically. The United States get a massive win over Iran yesterday. Christian Pulisic scores a goal. Shout out to him. Goal plus U.S. money line was like plus 338 yesterday. Big money, no whammy. Cemented his legacy as a United States guy. What are their chances now against Netherlands? I don't think I know enough about Netherlands or the rest of the tournament as a whole. Do we have a team that could go, Tony? And why aren't we scoring? Do we need more of that?
Yeah, I think a couple things there. First, Christian Pulisic, right? He needed his World Cup moment. He needed that. Every athlete, right, needs that. Christian Pulisic got it yesterday against Iran. And I know when they showed the replay, I don't know how many men are in the world, but everyone's watching that replay going, oh, boy, we know what that feels like.
Yes.
Right? I texted with his dad today. It seems like he's doing okay. He's day-to-day right now, but I would expect that he plays against the Netherlands. With regards to the Netherlands, this is a team with massive, massive names. This is a team with massive, massive personalities. But truth be told, they've underwhelmed so far. Even though they did win the group, Group A, they have not been impressive. With that said, if there's a team in the World Cup right now, based on how they're playing, I would put Argentina. We're going to find out this afternoon about Argentina if they end up going through. The Netherlands is a team that you shouldn't be surprised that if they have 2 or 3 more levels, where I think most of the teams we've seen who they are right now. So to your question, are they beatable? There's no doubt about it. This is a very young U.S. team. They're doing things that maybe some people didn't expect to do. Keep in mind, they haven't lost yet. There haven't been many teams that haven't lost in this competition. They haven't given up a goal and run and play. The only one was a penalty kick goal that they gave up, right? So they've got Matt Turner's pitched 2 shutouts. By the way, another New Jersey goalkeeper. I'd just throw that in there.
Region 1, hell yeah, stud.
Yeah, you got it, Region 1. And when you look at the performances of the 6 halves that they've played, they've been the better side in 5 halves. I don't know that we would have expected that. So they're in a pretty good moment right now. It's not a team, Pat, that I thought going into this tournament was going to score 2 and 3 goals a game. Just not that team. What's the one position we have said for months we need to continue to build, and that's the number 9 position, right? And Greg has rotated both games, and we might see someone as a new striker playing in the next match.
Tony, when you're playing goalie, kind of a technical question, and you have someone's taking a PK on you, what are you looking at? What are you trying to read first? I'm always curious about that.
Yeah, hips, right? So if your hips are pointing one way, it's kind of hard to put the ball the other way, right? But there are guys that can do it. But hell, man, these guys are so lucky now. You know how much videotape? We had VHS tape when I was playing. We didn't have. Now you can look at every penalty kick that every guy has taken for the last 10 years. And we didn't have any of that stuff. But it would be hips and then timing, right? People have an issue when you see a guy hop and jump. It's almost, I equate it to baseball. My kids are into baseball, right? And I equate it to like a changeup, right? It looks like a fastball. It acts like a fastball, except it does something different than a fastball. So when you see that, they're trying to break the rhythm of the goalkeeper and his timing of when to dive, depending on where he makes a decision to dive. So there's an art form to it, right? There's some guys that are really good at penalty kicks and some guys both taking them and saving them. And I think that's why you see sometimes, and the Netherlands was one of them in 2014 that actually changed their goalkeeper twice going into penalty kicks.
Yeah, some guys get a good read on it. It feels like a good sense and everything like that. You certainly were one of those guys. That's why, when I scored as an 11-year-old against you at the Con soccer camps, I knew that was a moment that I'd remember for the rest of my life. And here we are, chit-chatting. But it does feel like modern soccer, penalties more important than ever, or am I just caught in the moment? It feels like there's much more penalty kicks than there's ever been and much more important ones than there's ever been. Am I wrong in thinking that?
No, because we have VAR now, right? So you think about the years of how many penalty kicks referees may have missed or weren't willing to call, right? Now you don't have to make a call, right? If you're a referee, you don't really have to blow the whistle because you've got this security of having VAR and going to the video monitor and seeing it again, which we never had in the past. So if it wasn't called, it wasn't called, and you had to make a split decision. So when you think of it from that regard, I'm not so surprised. And we're now starting Saturday with the U.S. at 10 o'clock. And by the way, all the games are at 10 and 2 moving forward. From yesterday on through the rest of the tournament, we're getting into rounds where there's no more draws, right? We got to figure out a winner.
10 a.m. they're on Saturday?
Yeah, 10 a.m. Yep,
don't we have any pool? Can't we go to 2? Don't we have any pool? Can't we just say, no, we're going to 2 o'clock, we're America? That whole thing? Can I go back to the team itself? Because you said we're looking for a number 9. And for those that don't know soccer, like the 9 is the striker up top. That's why you see a lot of the great goal scorers throughout history have worn the number 9 because that's the position of 9. Gio Reyna, not playing. Now, I know he's been injured, but I think, did you play for his dad? You know his dad? I assume you do. The family.
Well, I played in the World Cup. Yeah, I played in the World Cup with Claudio.
Yeah, so this dude is, and his mom, I think, professional soccer player as well. We've seen him play great soccer. Seems like he could be a guy that could solve a lot of our problems, maybe. I don't know. He's grown up in the academies in Europe. Greg Berhalter's not playing him. Is it because he's not fit? He's not in shape? Obviously, that video of him going through the hotel yesterday, locked in, while everybody else is celebrating. And Dest, this dude's got so much swag. I'm a big fan of his. He wasn't happy that he got subbed out. Christian Pulisic got his balls checked out. He's celebrating back at the hotel. That moment right there, though, a G in the background with his headphones on walking through is kind of what stole the conversation to that whole video after getting knocked through to the next round. What is it with? Is he not in shape? Is he not fit? And what do you see from him going forward, do you think, Tony?
That's been the big mystery. When we talk about lineups, I expected he would start at least one game in the first round. There was that little discrepancy with Greg, talked about they had a fitness check after or prior to the first game against Wales. That led everybody to believe that, hey, is he potentially injured here? He said after the game that he was 100% fit. So there's been a little bit of a discrepancy. And Pat, you guys all know, right? You cover enough sports. There's no, from all the so-called experts, right? There's no sort of soccer reason why you wouldn't see Gio Reyna on the field. So it leads you to believe that maybe he's just not the guy for Greg, or maybe there's something else going on that we don't know about. But we've seen this a million times in sports.
Well, also in soccer, politics has played especially in the United States, American soccer for a long time, hasn't it? I mean, literally, that's been a part of the problem.
Yeah,
hasn't it?
Yeah, it is. I don't know that it plays out here. Again, what happens in that camp, we don't know. We can only just assume, right? I've been in those camps 3 times in 3 different World Cups, and I used to read things that were happening outside and thinking, man, that guy knows nothing about what's going on inside. And we've seen this in every sport, right? It's everywhere. Agreed.
So I guess we shouldn't just automatically assume the worst, but we can't score a fucking goal, and a guy who's a fucking goal scorer, and his name is pretty great. Yeah. We put him in there. Darius Butler played 9 years in the NFL. Has a question for you, Tony, after watching the World Cup.
Yes, sir. Hey, what's up, Tony? So watching the World Cup,
what's up, pal?
A lot of these goalies, man, putting a lot of nice punts out there. There are a lot of goalies that transfer to the American football and punt. And then part 2 of my question, how close were you to being a kicker or punter for the Giants? Little birdie told me you might have got close.
Jets.
Oh, Jets.
The Jets
dropped the ball.
after the 94. Pete Carroll was the head coach at that time, who, by the way, I remain friends with. Great guy. It was close. I hated it though, man. I really hated it. It was the most boring. You go from diving around and picking balls out of the corner, and it was the most boring job. I was with you guys and Pat, you'd remember. I don't know if the rest of you guys would remember. Nick Lowry was there, and I had the chance to work with Nick back then when I think he came from the Kansas City Chiefs, if I'm not mistaken, to the Jets. And I thought I always wanted to do it, and I thought if I'm ever going to learn to do this, I got a pretty good chance with Nick. But I got injured right before the season, and it was almost a blessing in disguise, to be honest with you. But to translate to goalkeepers, man, there are a lot of guys. I would think more kickoffs and field goals than punting, because the way the game has changed now, everything is struck off the ground. So. I would think they translate more that way than anything.
Seems like guys are bombing balls right now. Back in the day, somebody take a goal kick and they got it to near the other 18. Everybody's like, look how fucking big this guy's leg is. Now it feels like every goalie can huck it. Is the ball different? Have they changed the ball, or is it just technique changing? What do you think it is?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. And look, the athletes are just bigger and stronger now. I think the one thing, you guys are majority football guys, right? And I think if you actually went on the sideline of one of these games, you'd realize how big, the Netherlands, how big Virgil van Dijk is. Their goalkeeper's 6'8" Noppert that you're going to play. I think you'd be surprised how big some of these guys really are. Just different built athletes, right?
Yeah, and the balls are flying. I can't wait. Tone has a question for you, fellow Paisan.
Tony, Pat kind of talked about it a little bit earlier. I've been wondering it. Dest has been subbed off, I believe, in every game.
Not happy.
And after him, it feels like there's a pretty decent drop-off to Shaq Moore, who's gone in the last two games. Or how come Yedlin's not going in for him? And is it just is it a cardio thing with Dest because he's up and down that side the entire game? What's going on with that position?
Yeah, look, you hit the nail on the head. First off, I believe Yedlin did come in the Wales game, right? And then it's been Shaq Moore in the last two games, if I have that correct.
Nashville SC Shaq,
keep
right?
in mind, Nashville, and he was playing in Spain. But keep in mind, I watch Sergino Dest because AC Milan is my team, right? It's the team I support around the world. So I watch him every single week. He's not played very much for Milan and he didn't play at Barcelona at all, really, before he went to Milan in the transfer window at the end of the summer. So I'm not really surprised, but there was a moment, I think you're talking about the England game, when he came off the field and he had a few words. And I asked about it after the game, and I asked the PR people in U.S. Soccer if they had anything on, because we saw a little glimpse of him turning back, and I don't know, you couldn't tell who he was upset with. It certainly wasn't the referee because he wasn't looking at the field. So, but I think all in all, he's been pretty damn good in this competition so far. I think he just is run out of gas because he doesn't really have fitness under him.
Yeah, and that is a big part of it in the soccer sport. They were talking about boxing when Floyd took on Conor McGregor, and all the super boxing people were like, Conor, yeah, he might have a couple good rounds, but boxing fitness is just a different thing. You have to have cardio in boxing, and 11 rounds is what Conor, and it was incredible work by Conor. I think it should have been applauded. Soccer fitness is a big deal. That was something I was never that great at. These lungs, for whatever reason, just weren't always the biggest part of it. It's hard to judge, though, from the outside looking in. Does that guy have anything left, or does he not have anything left? And I assume Berhalter is trying to figure that out as we go, so I guess we shouldn't judge as hard. Last question before we let the legend Tony Meola go. I know you have a lot to do. Messi's coming to Miami. Cristiano Ronaldo, I know he's getting offered $207 million allegedly from Saudi Arabia. He's up. Is he coming to the MLS? Is it our sport now, Tony? Is it our sport now? Are we the leaders in the clubhouse of soccer?
Oh, we'd like to think so, man. Or we'd like to think at least it's going that way, right? Look, Messi to Miami, I reported that back in March that deal was essentially going to happen if Messi wanted it to happen. The Cristiano Ronaldo, I just saw the latest report, 3.5 years, $365 million. At I think it's Al Nasser over in
Saudi.
Is that Saudi Arabia, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, I'm kind of over the Cristiano Ronaldo me story. I really am.
Oh.
I'm a Messi fan anyway. So this whole thing, I'm like, okay, perfect. Go make your money. Go do your thing. When you're getting $2.5 million every Instagram post, it's not like I can feel bad for you because somebody's benching you at Manchester United. I got to be honest.
Okay, what does this men's team need to do that you think will be a massive success, or have they already accomplished that going into the North America World Cup 4 years from now?
Yeah, I've always said this is built for 2026, but they have a great opportunity here. How do they win this game? They got to win the midfield. Tyler Adams, our captain, has been outstanding. Weston McKennie and Yunus Musa have to likely have the best game that they've had in this tournament to beat the Netherlands.
Let's go.
Come on, boys.
We appreciate you. Paisan Tony Meola.
Hey, Tony!
Thanks for making time for us, Tony. He has a Sirius XM show, and he's also trying to watch all of these games and cover them all. I broke the Messi news to Miami, I think, like 6 months ago.
Just about.
6 months, 7 months ago. Sorry, I got that wrong. It was the Jets, not the Giants. 100% on me. I should have remembered him in those green shorts I think he was kicking in. Yeah, he was a guy. I was a big fan of Tony Meola. Big leg. Hey, he used to have big legs.
So